So we're going to go over how to solve each of the problems from the formative. So let's look at number 1, 14.34 minus 23 and 1/4. So my suggestion for this one is to go with decimals. 1/4 should be a really easy decimal. Actually, I think it's one that you should just know off the top of your head. We all know that 1/4 is equal to 25 cents. So that's basically the same for here. So instead of 23 and 1/4, it would be 23.25, like 25 cents. So I'm going to have 14.34 minus 23.25. Now when we're subtracting, remember you're going to add a line, change the sign. So it's the same thing as adding a negative. And we have to think back to those rules. So we had different signs subtract. So for this one, I'm going to subtract. And remember, you want to take the number that has the bigger absolute value and put that one on top. So I'm going to put the 23.25 on top and subtract the 14.34. Remember, when we're working with decimals, we need to line up those decimal places so that we can have each place value in line. Now we just subtract like normal, so 5 minus 4 is 1. 2 minus 3, I can't do that, so I'm going to have to borrow. Take the 3 down to a 2, and this 2 up to a 12. So 12 minus 3 is 9. Bring down that decimal. 2 minus 4, again, I can't do that, so I am going to borrow from this 2, make it a 1, and make that 12. 12 minus 4 is 8, and 1 minus 1 is 0. So I've got 8.91, but then I have to think, different signs subtract, but keep the sign of the bigger number. So I'm going to look back at my two numbers. The larger absolute value goes with this 23, and it was a negative, so this answer is going to be a negative 8.91. Now let's look at number 2. We have 9.5 plus negative 3.3. Again, I would suggest going decimals. 1/2 is a very easy decimal to make. We should, again, I think all know that 1/2 is the same as 0.5. So I'm going to change this to say 9.5 plus negative 3.3. Now again, I have to think back to my rules. So different signs, I'm going to subtract. I'm going to take the larger absolute value, which is the 9.5, and subtract the 3.3 from there, making sure to line up my decimals, and just subtract like normal. 5 minus 3 is 2. Bring that down that decimal place. 9 minus 3 is 6, and I get 6.2. I got to look back. So I different signs subtracted, and I'm going to keep the sign of the larger number. So my 9.5 has a larger absolute value, so this is going to be a positive 6.2 since that 9.5 was positive.